Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and play poker. Here's the story that we've got. As an agent, I want to enter a claim for a 2-car injury so that it is automatically processed. Can someone talk to us about this story? What will it take to get it done in terms of the complexity? UI, front end, back end, business rules. Let's just have a conversation around this.
Well, I think this is a good example of, if this is the first story that we take on, if this is the highest priority story, then we're going to have some upfront work that we're going to have to do to actually establish some of these framework things. So from a complexity standpoint, I think this is going to be, or one of the things we need to consider complexity-wise is not only the database work that we're going to have to do on the upfront to actually store these claim requests, but then also...
Aren't these non-functional requirements that we said we were going to do in iteration 0, not tied specifically to the story? They're like foundational.
Right.
Okay, so assume that we're done with iteration 0, so this is a good conversation. Okay. Assume that we're done with iteration 0 and many of the non-functional base foundation requirements are done, right? Of course, there'll still be complexity if this is the first story that you're doing on the portal, because that might be the first screens. But I do want you to assume, though, that sometimes some of that database setup has already been done for the foundation.
Okay.
So then based on that, so let's talk about what does this look like?
So after sprint 0, so everything's ready to be set up. We start designing, coding, building. Sprint 1. So sprint 1, John, how complex would this story be?
Well, there's information for 2 cars when you're entering in here. So
And
I know from our
probably
past
someone else's
experience, the time on the phone, you've got insurance from the other party. You've got information for both cars. Even the multiple occupants that could be in there. So
hospital bills, body shop estimates, all that stuff's all going to be...
It basically multiplies from the 1 car.
So it's more information because it's 2
So
cars. So it's a lot of information.
When you talk about hospital bills, what is that? What is the business rules around that? We're integrating with something else, or how do we find that information out?
Well, basically the agent submits it to us. So they obtain the bills from the customer, and then they're inputting it into the system.
At the point of entry, we would know whether occupants were sent to the emergency room and what hospital they were sent to. We won't necessarily know exactly what their bill is, but we'll know that they took an ambulance ride, and there's going to be a bill for an ambulance, and there'll be a hospital that...
So
definitely we need some.
And you're going into a little bit of the business rules themselves, so I'll just get you up a level to talk about it from a complexity perspective, as long as it doesn't affect the business rules.
So do we have to do all the validation at this point to make sure everything they enter is 100% valid, or is this just trying to capture the basic data so it can get saved?
To get a claim number, we at least have to have all of the people, or the person, the insurer that we have, their name, their make and model, their driver's license information, all of that basic information in order to get the claim number. And then,
some UI validation is what it sounds like.
absolutely.
Definitely,
Okay,
and
so
we're
we
going to
get
have to
some-
limit even some of their options to drop-down type of fields because we don't want them just free-form typing some of it.
So it sounds like we have...
Are we ready to vote on this one? Does anyone have any outstanding questions before we vote on this one?
Is it okay for the business to vote on these?
Yeah, we should all vote on it as a team, because part of the complexity of this is testing this, and you're part of doing that, so definitely.
So just to capture really quick, the assumptions that we have is 2 cars to enter, setup of infrastructure is being completed, and we have to be concerned about how they enter hospital bills, and then validation of the user interface.
Yes, very good. All right, go ahead and silently vote right now, and then we'll ask you to show your estimate. Okay, everyone ready to show their vote? Okay, show your vote. Wow. So we've got a 2, an 8, and 5, an 8, an 8, a 13, a 5, and an 8. So we'd like number 13 to talk to number 2. So you thought this was a 2, which is a small, and you thought this was a very large. Can you guys have a conversation about that? And let us know what...
It is not easy. You guys have no idea how complex this is.
Please tell us more.
So many scenarios that come into play, because if the other insurer had insurance and we have to do subrogation with that other insurance company, that's all played into all of these scenarios. We have to capture all that information. This is huge.
And remember, Kelly, this is the first one.
So it does sound more complex. So I'm going to change mine to a 12.
Oh
No way, we can't
We don't
do
have
that.
a 12.
Okay, how about a 13 then?
And I just want to clarify for recording purposes, Kelly's playing this role, but she's a Scrum Master. Scrum Masters do not
I don't
vote
vote.
as part of the team.